Good afternoon to one and all. I am C.H. Vijay Kumar, Zoology faculty. So today we are going to discuss about human embryonic development. Human embryonic development is a part of reproduction. Besides, it has correlative to other topics or other concepts. It can be correlated with the other topics or other concepts also. So that's why let me discuss about human embryonic development in that manner in brief. First of all, we have to discuss the human embryonic development with correlate with the evolution. So that's why correlative with the evolution, human embryonic development we can correlate with evolution. Shall we raise a question? So can we apply the von Baer observation to human embryonic development? So can we apply the von Baer observations to human embryonic development? So von Baer is considered as modern father of embryology. So his observations are given as evidences of embryology in evolution. So that's why he given statement as some of the developmental stages of all organisms showing similarities. So to understand that, so we have to discuss that von Baer observations to human embryonic development. So we have to show that sequence of developmental stages of human embryonic development. So in human embryonic development, the sequence stages are included zygote and morula, blastula and gastrula. Zygote, morula, blastula, gastrula. So these stages are included in the human embryonic development. These are the sequences of embryonic development stages. So then we have to see that zygote look like unicellular organisms with nucleus, and morula and blastula seems to be colonial protozoans and cellular level organisms. So see the picture. So zygote, you have to see from the zygote. So zygote is look like unicellular organism. It has a nucleus, is called syncyrion, is the result of fusion of sperm cell and ovum. So it seems to be a unicellular organism, and after that in the zygote cleavages will be occurred. That cleavages leads to formation of 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells. It leads to formation of many cells. Then in the morula, 16 to 32 cells stage is visible. In morula stage, we can see the 16 to 32 cells. So in this morula, whatever the formed cells are arranged in isolated manner. The cells are not aggregated. That's why it is a resemble form of cellular grade organization. And after that, morula can convert into blastula. In human being development, we can say it is called blastocyst. So in the blastula or in the blastocyst, before formation of the epiblast, the cells also arranged in isolated manner. That's why the zygote look like unicellular organism, and morula, blastula look like cellular level organisms. You see, in the morula, in the blastula, the cells are arranged in isolated manner as in the sponges which are belongs to cellular level. So then gastrula, the blastula stage will be converted as gastrula. In the gastrula, the cells can differentiate it into epiblast. The cells can differentiate it into epiblast cells. So these in the gastrula, the epiblast cells can give rise tissues. That's why gastrula stage is similar to the cnidarians. It look like cnidarians. Why? Because it has tissues. It will that gastrula cells become the gastrula cells will gives rise that tissues. That's why gastrula is similar to the cnidarians. So we can say that zygote and morula, blastula, gastrula are the stages are there. These stages are all similar in all organisms, and after that, after zygote, complications will be start. So according to the taxonomic level, the complications will be occurred after the zygote. For example, so if you take example as a chordate, so chordate included fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals. So that's why in those all classes which belongs to same phylum Chordata, their primary embryos are similar. Their primary embryos are look like similar. Why? Because they have pharyngeal gill slits. That pharyngeal gill slits are will be converted as according respiratory organs according to their species level, according to their own species level. So whatever we see that all the gastrula, all the zygote, blastula, morula, gastrula stages. So after the gastrula stages, so according to this taxonomic level, they will get complications. They will get new characters according to the taxonomic level, and also some are exhibit similar properties in the morphological structure of the primary embryos, which belongs to same phylum like birds, mammals, and reptiles, etc. These observations are given by that von Baer. That's why we can conclude the von Baer observations we can apply to the human embryonic development. Okay. Next, which cells can be called stem cells during the embryonic development? Which cells can be called stem cells during the embryonic development? So whatever we discussed, blastula, etc. So in the blastula, cells originated, and in the morula also cells are present. In the morula also cells are present. So whatever the cells are present, morula and blastula, those cells should be considered as omnipotent stem cells. What are the stem cells generally? Which cells are undifferentiated, self-renewable cells are called as stem cells. So whatever the cells are present in the blastula and morula, those are self-renewable cells, undifferentiated cells. That's why they can form entire embryo. That's why they can form entire embryo. So that's why they can say embryo proper, embryonic disc. Yes. So and one more concept also included here. So that the fate of blastomeres, the fate of cells in the blastula morula is not determined. So that's why it's called as indeterminate cleavage. The cleavage is called as indeterminate cleavage. This concept also will be included in this topic. So that's why the stem cells which are present in the cells which are present in the morula, blastula, they should be seen as omnipotent stem cells or totipotent stem cells. Omnipotent also called as totipotent stem cells. Omnipotent nothing but totipotent stem cells which can give rise new structures. Any structure or entire structure will be origin from that omnipotent or totipotent stem cells. Then so the cells when the blastula can convert into gastrula, in the blastocyst stage, some cells will be differentiated into the epiblast cells. Epiblast cells. So that epiblast cells in the gastrula will be differentiated into cells are differentiated in the gastrula as pluripotent stem cells. Pluripotent stem cells. Omnipotent stem cells can differentiate it into pluripotent stem cells. So that pluripotent stem cells can give rise germ layers, ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm. So whatever the cells are present in the blastula morula should be seen as omnipotent stem cells. Why? Because they can give rise all the organs, all the tissues, entire organism. And that cells will be converted into the gastrula as pluripotent stem cells. So they differentiate into pluripotent stem cells, can gives rise only some three germ layers. That germ layers will be gives rise the respective tissues. respective organs. So we can see like here. So in the zygote, no cells are there, and cleavages, due to the cleavages in the morula, cells are formed. Inner cell mass present in the morula and blastula. That inner cell mass can convert as a epiblast. So these epiblast can convert into germ layers. So the germ layers can give rise tissues. Tissues can originate respective organs. Tissues can give rise respective organs. So whatever the inner cell mass are present in the morula and blastula are called omnipotent stem cells. And epiblast cells are pluripotent stem cells. They can give germ layers. So germ layers can produce tissues. Tissues can produce respective organs. So stem cells are there. So you see that pluripotent stem cells reaches umbilical cord and store at that place. If we can collect the pluripotent stem cells from umbilical cord after the birth, so we can cure some diseases also. So that's why omnipotent stem cells and pluripotent stem cells are called embryonic stem cells. That embryonic stem cells are not visible in the adults after birth, or after birth we can't see the pluripotent stem cells or omnipotent stem cells. So that stem cells will be converted as adult stem cells. So like that satellite cells in the muscles and bone marrow having that myeloid stem cells etc. to produce the RBC and WBC. So those are unipotent stem cells. Limited regeneration power is there. So that's why we can say that during the embryonic development we can see. So we can say that stem cells are present in the stages of human embryonic development. So see the pictures. So the morula stage has cells. The cells can convert as epiblast. Epiblast convert as germ layers. Epiblast and hypoblast can convert into the ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm. 3 tissues will be gives rise, and from that tissues, so respective organs will be originated. So one question is there. So we have to discuss that. The mother cells of muscle tissue. Origin from. During the course of embryonic development, the mother cells of muscle tissue origin from. So mother cells of muscle tissue. Muscles originated from mesoderm. Yes. So these mesoderm originated from epiblast. The mesoderm originated from epiblast. So epiblast, from epiblast mesoderm originated, ectoderm and endoderm also originated. So epiblast can give rise 3 germ layers. That's why it's called as pluripotent stem cell. Okay, like this. So applicated questions we can solve. Then, which membrane of human embryo is an evidence of aquatic mode of life? Which membrane of human embryo is an evidence of aquatic mode of life? So during the course of embryonic development, 4 extra embryonic membranes are originated. They are amnion, yolk sac, allantois and chorion. So amnion, yolk sac, allantois and chorion. So, around the fetus, around the embryo, amnion, chorion, yolk sac, ellentise. Those are the 4 extra embryonic membranes. Here, amnion is fulfilled by amniotic fluid. Amnion is fulfilled by amniotic fluid. These amniotic fluid will protect the embryo from shocks. That's why we can say the shock absorber, and also it prevents from the dehydration. So you see the picture, it is look like aquatic organism in the water. Aquatic organism in the water. That's why, so amnion is evidence. Amnion is evidence. So human being also can recapitulate aquatic ancestry. That's why the 4 types of extra embryonic membranes are there. Amnion is a evidence to prove that human being also can recapitulate aquatic ancestry, and other layers are there. So yolk sac, no significant function. Ellentise, store the excretory materials. Chorion, draw the nourishment from the mother uterus. Yes, and after that, amnion is originated from the amnioblast cells, which are differentiated from the epiblast, and chorion originated from the trophoblast, and yolk sac originated from the hypoblast. Ellentise, hindgut evagination. So, according to the need point of view, you have to remember that origination sites of the extra embryonic membranes also. Yes, so that's why amnion is a proof human being can recapitulate that aquatic ancestry. And so which female hormone secreted by temporary endocrine structure during the embryonic development? So one more question, secreted which female hormone secreted by temporary endocrine structure during the embryonic development? Yes, so during the embryonic development, placenta is originated. So placenta. And one more temporary endocrine gland, corpus luteum. So corpus luteum will be visible before fertilization and after fertilization also. But placenta will visible in course of embryonic development after fertilization only. That's why what is the question? Which female hormone secreted by temporary endocrine structure during the embryonic development? So the structure is placenta, not corpus luteum. Why? Because corpus luteum is visible before fertilization and after fertilization also. Only placenta will be visible during the course of embryonic development, during the pregnancy only. That's why placenta is secreted. The female hormone is progesterone. Yes. So these progesterone helps to sustainable pregnancy. Not only that placenta secrete progesterone, it also secrete estrogens and somatomammotrophine, progesterone, estrogen, somatomammotrophine, and especially HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin hormone. Human chorionic gonadotropin hormone is excreted from the urine of pregnant women. So, of mother excreted urine, when mother excreted urine through urine, that human chorionic gonadotropin will be excreted. By the presence of HCG, we can detect the pregnancy also. So, and that placenta distinctive properties are, human being placenta is chorioellentose placenta, hemochorial placenta, decidual placenta. So, chorioellentose placenta, that means around the fetus, so around the fetus, amnion is there and ellentose and chorion is there. These chorion and ellentose fused and formed into placenta. That's why chorioellentose placenta. Chorioallantois placenta. So hemochorial placenta means the placenta will be connect with the deeply mother endometrium or mother blood vessel circulation. That's why hemochorial placenta. Decidual placenta. Decidual placenta means so after delivery or after birth, giving the birth to baby, that entire placenta will be ruptured out is called as a decidual placenta. Decidual placenta. And so it secretes HCG hormone. According to that hormone, so one more question is there. How the pregnancy can be detected in first month while placenta forms at fourth month? How the pregnancy can be detected in first month while the placenta forms at fourth month? So you see that corpus luteum will be continuous up to fourth month, and after that only placenta will be originated. So chorion is a part of, chorion is a composition of placenta. That's why from the first month only chorionic villi secrete human chorionic gonadotropin hormone. So that's why by the presence of human chorionic gonadotropin hormone we can detect the pregnancy in the first month also. So why? Because chorion is a part of placenta. Yes. So that's why, so according to the evolution, according to the stem cells, so some applicated questions will become in the NEET point of view. So we can solve by discussing like this in manner of human embryonic development. So once again, epiplast, hypoplast and morula cells, so the developmental stages of the human embryonic development included zygote, morula, blastula and gastrula. So zygote belongs to or look like similar to the unicellular organism, and morula and blastula look like cellular level organism or colonial protozoan, and after that gastrula look like tissue grade organization like sponges, and after that, so in the gastrula stage that cells are differentiated epiplast and hypoplast. That epiplast can gives rise three germ layers, ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm. That ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm will be gives rise three germ layer tissues, and the tissues will be give respective organs, and after that organs will be originated from that respective tissues. Organism will be originated in the human embryonic development. And one more additional character is there. So placenta will be originated at the fourth month of pregnancy. So the placenta will be working as a temporary endocrine gland. It secretes that progesterone hormone, helps to sustainable pregnancy, and also secrete human chorionic gonadotropin hormone. The function is like luteinizing hormone. So that HCG will be secreted from the chorionic villi at first month. In the presence of that HCG, we can detect the pregnancy at first month also. Okay, thank you very much.